Hello and welcome back to Second Lap. We have got triple co-hosts today. We've got Ryan back in the studio. But let's take a look at where Robbie's at. You are 34,443 on your way.
Bingo. I feel like it's a bingo game.
There you go. Didn't quite nail it like I guessed last time. I was off a little bit, but
yeah, we did a podcast a couple days ago, Ryan, and we were getting ready, and I don't even know what you did. You looked at what it was the week before, and I was looking it up, and he's like, "It's probably this," and he was like, right on, like literally right on.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, a little bit of math in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking maybe we were getting some lottery tickets, and then today he just like completely is like a bug in the windshield. So
That's usually
never mind. Yeah, never mind. It's not gonna happen. Welcome back. Yeah. Well, welcome back. I'm excited to see you. It's been a while. Had a couple things I wanted to chat about, but first I want to just catch up with you. How are things with you, and how have things? What's been going on in your life new?
Oh man, thanks so much for that little intro there. Yeah, it's life has been good. I was I guess more transparently as I just kind of talk about it all. I think just like in life, there's always that moment where you kind of like have your professional life, family life, and I think passions all kind of coming to a head in a great way. And I think there's challenges there, and your eyes and your, I think your head you kind of find is more on a swivel, kind of looking around and seeing a few things. And, the more that I would look in one direction, more things would be uncovered. And, long story short was like, okay, something feels off right now. And especially within my world, I think, running my business, my practice, and, some other stuff too. I was like, all right, hold on. I think where my effort is going at this moment in, where my feet are, is this the right thing for the people that are so important to me in my life? Because I was doing so many things, and I've always known myself as this, and my family does too, and my friends do. It's just like I will find myself with wearing too many hats with my hands in so many different pots, and it's like, hey, we told you that was about to happen. And I'm like, you did, and I know you caught me again. So it was kind of one of those moments recently, and so I've been able to put some focus into some other things. And, I think soon it's all going to be really ironed out, which is going to be good. So overall, busy stuff coming together, and I'm back here right now. This is so great. So thanks for having me.
No, it is. It's good to have you. So you say you're wearing many hats. It looks like you're wearing the same hat you've always worn. I did put this one on after getting my haircut today.
That was a decent joke.
Yeah, I was working into it. I was working into a joke, but it turned bad. Hey, you're doing a lot with the VFriends stuff and this Chrome thing that I don't really understand. Is there a way for you to break that down for me in a quick fashion so I understand what is it? Just the cards delay or arrival, or what's going on there?
Oh man, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked, because I think overall I've kind of found this Chrome bridge outlet to be just really cool. If anything, I think it's awesome. But overall, what it is, in the VFriends community, it is a community backed space on X. It basically is just, it was at first it started with a couple friends basically trying to keep a conversation going 24/7. They were going to run this conversation 24/7 on an X space until the Topps Chrome cards had come out. Now, I've never really been a big card collector until like VFriends. And so I didn't really know all about Topps and Chrome, but VFriends, they've had cards for a couple of years right now, and they've partnered with Topps Chrome, and they're putting out this set of cards, which is going to be pretty epic for bringing in new people to the space and into the community. And so it's just a really big thing. And so, this space is there to help people that don't know about it, learn about it, bring them into the community. And VFriends themselves, they've kind of attached to it in some sort of way to say, hey, we'll help you out. So a lot of people within the VFriends world, within the actual business itself, are coming in to kind of speak and share their thoughts and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I think it really evolved into not even so much about the cards, not altogether only VFriends. It really is like people coming in and sharing their thoughts on all things, whether it's NFTs and crypto, whether it's going to be, nutrition and training and health. And, I just got off a space, someone brought up something about them going out on town, having a date night with their wife. And, I had brought up the conversation, like so many conversations we're having are about, side conversations about like, hey, what's going on in life, in marriage? And, so we started talking about that. So it really is like any topic within and outside the community, all kind of started from this idea of a new product coming from the VFriends world.
Wow. Interesting. And I love it. I love it because it's not defining it, but it helps to, when you're trying to explain to people what you do in your spare time. I find it sometimes hard for me to do that. So I like the explanation. I do think that when I make the joke or the statement or whatever I'm going to call it, the community is the utility. I mean, at the end of the day, we're a clan-like species and we want to be with other people that have similar likes. And it sounds like this is another way to have that kind of outlet. So cool. I'll have to look into it. I'd seen that you'd posted quite a bit. And I just wasn't familiar.
Yeah. It's, I think for anybody that has a passion in wanting to share what's in their head. And as I've always joked for so long now, is that sometimes I don't know whether I really like to hear myself talk or whether I like to hear myself reflect. Either one, I think it gives another platform to do that on, which I think is really good. And then I think you also get, feedback from many other people. And I think in a space, and I'm going to stop short of saying safe space. I think the term safe space, has something
it's been bastardized.
Kind of
I want to use it.
Yes.
I want to use it. I want to use it so often. And I actually bite my tongue every time because it has been taken over. So.
Exactly. And I feel that way too. But largely it is a space of people that are like-minded and open, which I don't think is all communities, but I think that people just like from what, this VFriends community is, I think that people are all coming in at a different level of openness. I think a different level of kindness, a different level of empathy. I also think, I don't look at it as like, and this was a conversation we had recently in there was like, is this a cult? Right. Or some people will kind of say that, but, it's up to you if you want to keep talking more about VFriends, but I think overall, like this, any kind of space, and even with walking or running or CrossFit, or if you want to think of it as self-improvement, right? Whether you attach to a certain author or, let's say a certain podcaster, say like Joe Rogan, or, anywhere, right? Even in finance, anything, you will find people within that space that you want to be able to share, thoughts with and connect with. And then you eventually in your life, you want to share it with somebody else. And so I think it's hard to share some of these thoughts. And I think specifically like Robbie, with your amazing achievements with walking and your consistent efforts to just keep it going, it is inspiring. We all know this. And, to sell someone on walking as much as you do and as far as you have, it's hard to sell them on it. Well, it feels good. Okay. Is that enough? Right. Is it enough to say, hey, you get away and it clears your head? Well, is that what they want to hear? Like, you don't really know. So whatever it is, I think helping, be part of a community and then not trying to push it too hard, to hopefully have the people in your life that you love and you care about, you want them to be with you. You want them to be, joining in with you on these great things. So I actually just brought this kind of thing up within that VFriends community in that space. And I was like, I don't really have a question, but just the thought of like, I do hope eventually my wife kind of comes into this community and like makes her own connections and sees the benefit that we end up having here. And like, when like mail shows up and it's like another thing that maybe I purchased, she's not looking at it as just like a waste of money, but it's more of me like, hey, well, actually that like $30 that I just spent on whatever you see right now, this was backing my friend over there who's really trying to make a move in their life to,
Right.
you know, find something new and different. And so it's just like, you know, it could be buying new shoes. It could be spending more time away from the family. It could be, you know, any of these type of things. And
Right.
it's an interesting thing. Like where do you actually find that way to, you know, bring every bit of your life together?
I've been doing some of these in real life get-togethers with artists. There's quite a focal point of guys here in Dallas, and we've gotten together a couple times now and had lunches and kind of reconnected. And they will say they have said, you know, my best friends and my most close connections are my online friends, and you know, I'm trying to figure out how to have those kind of relationships with people in real life, and these lunches are kind of this first step, if you will, kind of a bridge. And I'm hoping to see, this is a long way of me answering, I hope to see that when my mail shows up, it doesn't always appear to be a hat or a shirt or a V-Friends card or stickers or art that I have to explain, you know, hey, that was from a month and a half ago from Sweden. You know, yes, I'm hopeful that, I don't know if there was a question in here, but I'm hopeful that the blending of what I would call our online presence and the blending of our in real life presence, that continues to blend and blur, right? And I'm just trying to manifest all the most positive things out of it versus all my friends live somewhere that's, you know, a zip code away.
Yeah, I hear you. I recently went to a men's group, which I think in itself just sounds so, um, I don't know what it sounds like, but it, I think that not everyone attaches with like, oh, men's group, what's wrong with you? I feel like is like the first response that I can end up hearing from someone, but it's not really that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, but I did end up going, and with an intention and a question. And my intention was to connect with other people in real life, just like you're saying, Robbie. And my
Right.
question was, why am I actually going to this? Which I thought was interesting because I'm like, but you already have your connections. And you know, but then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, but you know, your connections are mainly online right now, or they're with, you know, professionally, they're with your clients, they're with your patients. Like, so why are you going? Right. And that was kind of like sitting in, and I even brought that up, you know, because we like went around the circle. We did all the kind of stuff that you might think about doing. And there was part of me that went because I just want to see like how this guy who I very much respect and appreciate, I've worked with him on a professional level before. And then also personal level, like outside of that too. So I was like, I wonder how he's going to run this. I just want to see it because like, you know, I do this kind of stuff, but we ended up going around the circle. And he asks, you know, more or less like, you know, why are you here? Right. That was it. And I was just like, look, I'm just going to say what's in my head. I was like, I'm asking myself why I'm here at the same time being incredibly excited to be here. I was like, you know, there's a part of me that says like, I don't need this because I do enough online. And then there's another part of me yelling at that part of me, which is saying, yeah, but you know, it's something that you need to be seeing people in real life too. So, you know, and then I was like, that's where I'm starting from. I'm starting from this internal dialogue that is a little bit confusing, and I'm so open to hearing about what I have to say about it and what you all have to say about it too. So it was really cool. But I did come to a great conclusion, which I want to get to in a second. But I wanted to ask you, Robbie, with these conversations and these discussions that you're having with these artists, is this music and actual
think
art
about digital physical art? Yeah, artists.
Yeah, cool. And so what did you find the difference in when you were in these conversations with them versus maybe online?
Well, you're connecting with them as like, I'm gonna stop moving here, just make sure you guys can hear me okay, right?
Great.
Okay, good. Make sure I'm doing a mic check for my sound guy. I think that there's this just reptilian brain level need for us to have skin to skin contact, be in the room, smell people's bad breath, just be around other people. I mean, it's required. I think I told you, I think the one bedroom apartment is the PTSD headquarters. But, I think that I'm going to do one of these ADD things where I'm trying to make sure I'm answering the question still.
You're good.
I think they're all starving for this contact with people. They're connected in that they're all artists. They've all got a couple of focal points or people that bring them together, or their joint, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of a thing. So there's some comfort there. They're all dealing with similar, artist to consumer to how do I do things on X to it's just another, set of humans that have their unique, members only jacket kind of situation. And they're just in a lot of cases in their 20s to 30s. So, living through COVID, some of them, it's just different. Like, so it's almost, I would say the lowest level, it's almost like us that were before the pandemic almost need to help the older youth to younger adults to figure out, how you use the soup spoon. Like, how does all this stuff work again? Like, and I hope I'm not being too demeaning, because I think there was this whole time where we were freaking house arrested, and I just don't think that there's this. Yeah.
I think
sorry.
No, I was gonna. I'm sorry to jump in and
no,
grab
please.
this. It's funny because I had a question for Ryan, but you guys kind of answered it as the conversation went on. Because I think for me, I was going to ask, like, is there an in-person aspect of your group? Because I feel like there's being someone, and I think especially since the pandemic, there's been this big kind of eye-opening of like, oh, I can do more things from home. I don't need to be tied down to this. But yet we lose that sense of community. And I'm speaking for myself that I'm a little bit lonely. And I think having that community is kind of what people need. And for me, it's funny, I was talking to one of my business partners about like, hey, for me, I get excited when I'm doing these calls or on a call with a client, because otherwise I'm sitting here typing away or doing whatever, working on something by myself, where when I was at a retail store or at a warehouse or at a restaurant, you had that community, that buzz you can kind of feed off of other people and sense their energy and have like different conversations with different people when you're in that atmosphere of work, and you have a lot more deep conversations with coworkers and stuff. And yeah, it might be your coworker, but sometimes they kind of become friends. And at least for me personally, I've kind of detached myself. And so it's hard to kind of find those connections again. And that's why I was going to ask about the in-person, because for me, and maybe I'm becoming old and begrudging. It's like, oh, why am I going to join this group to go and talk to these guys? Like, if they want to come talk to me, they can come on my Formula One feed. And that's the thing too. It's like, I have specific subject. It's like, and it's my own, like, I don't want to talk about this or that. Like, I just want to talk about this. And so finding those people is hard. And at least for me, I'm trying to go back and like reestablish the connections that I had that are around me, because I feel like and obviously some people you have to cut off or just kind of our paths just aren't on the same. But I think with a lot of people, at least like me, that have kind of taken this next step and branched off, we secluded ourselves a little bit and lost that human interaction. And so for me, that's at least for me personally, like, I'm a super social person. Like, I need to feed off of other people. And so for me, it's like, having those spaces, I think, is something excellent, especially for men, especially for middle-aged people, because we kind of get detached and in our own zone and in our own life with family and everything else kind of becomes a distraction, that it's hard. And we all kind of, things simmer down from when we're 20 and we're, hey, how are you? I know you. And to now it's like, oh, leave me alone. 8 o'clock's too late to go out. Like I got to be up early. So there's so many more excuses and things that kind of build up that, at least for me, it's like, how do I find those connections again, whether it is in person or online? And those are always tricky because it's like, if it's online, it needs to be somebody, like you mentioned, like that has an interest with me. And how do I kind of, not that you're back at school again, but how do we start these conversations? I think is with a lot of middle-aged men have a trouble kind of like, all right, I'm going to go and find some friends. Like that's a hard thing to kind of tell yourself that you got to go do sometimes.
First of all, I loved what you said before, Robbie, about, needing to teach people how to use the soup spoon again. And I think it's so true. And, I think at first when you said it, I was like, yeah, we do have to teach them. And I was like, what do you mean we? I was like, I still have to learn how to use the soup spoon sometimes too, in terms of putting myself in a position and meeting people, right?
Yep.
So like,
Yep.
people know me as the guy who hates small talk in real life. I love small talk online. And I think that starts to show the biggest difference between why it can be beneficial to go and meet people, IRL, which is going to be so important. And, I think behind all of this, just because I always do like to try and tie something back to health, and I think that we definitely know how some of these things definitely work. I mean, the reason we should be doing this, and I'm curious, that difference between the online and the real world there is, there are a lot of things here, like social interaction, having friends, being able to have those connections, like it does help us with longevity and health, because people who do become isolated, they have a 50% greater risk of a premature death. It just is what, we have to make sure that we're staying aware of. And, that's when we get older, it's harder to make friends and whatever else, but it's almost like this weird spot to be in right now. And it's like, you can go online, and I want to make sure I'm not just speaking and just taking this and I'm just projecting so much on these thoughts here. But the idea is like, being online, at least for me, I know it's so easy to make these connections, and almost to the point where it's like you can make so many connections at once, but maybe they are just a little bit half-baked in a way of like, hey, now I'm friends with you because, well, I like your stuff and I'm following you on this platform, and we go in the same space and we buy the same stuff or something. Right. And it ends up becoming this like really cool thing. But at the same time, Ronnie, you mentioned about being lonely, right? One of the things I found so surprising is that within this group, this men's group that I went to, and we're all kind of sharing our feeling about like why we're there, and like I think we're all just like, it was the first one. Right. We're doing it every 2 weeks or so. But the thing that a lot of people said was like, yeah, like I have people online, or I have my business and I'm connecting with clients, or I'm connecting with people online all the time. But the thing that the majority of the men said is, but I'm lonely. And so it was an interesting thing to say, well, what is the difference then? Like, if we are so connected, like there is this hyper connection with people right now in a lot of ways, but the loneliness factor is still there. And so what's really happening? And, I don't know. And again, I don't have a complete thought here, but like the one thing that I was trying to figure out for myself was like, well, why was I there? Is there something missing? And as I'm sitting there, I'm kind of like, well, you know what I can't do right now? I can't have this uncomfortable thought that I can't put aside right now. I can't just sign off. I have to sit here with my thought, and I have to now share with I wanted to, right? I want to be there. Right. But it's this idea of like, I can't escape this. I'm here. Now I'm really in the moment, right? There's nothing, I'm not hiding behind a typewriter. My God. I'm not hiding behind a keyboard. I'm not hiding behind a keyboard. I'm not hiding behind a screen. It's like, I am forced not to be lonely right now. And I feel like I might need that. And that's the soup spoon. I need to put the soup spoon in my mouth. I need that right now. Right?
So I was going to say real quick.
One last thing. I think that, and then I'm done. I think there's so many different versions of ourselves that we have to understand. And I think, Ryan, you nailed it on the head there of like, when you're in real life, you have that uncomfortable moment and you have to sit with it. And I guess the question is, it's not so much a question as a thought of which one of those is more the real version of us. But yet I still would say it's both. And so I think there's this online version of us that I might talk to the girl that if I was 18 that I liked, or I think there's a more brash, more like the person you want to be is your online persona. Like you're going to say stuff that you wouldn't normally say online. You might make that connection and be like, hey, I think that's cool, where you wouldn't do that in real life. And It's understanding both of those and being okay with yourself in both of those settings. And like you said, it's eating that uncomfortable moment and being like, this is what I got to deal with while I'm there. And so it's understanding like, how can you be the best version of yourself on both of those, that one, you're not offending someone by telling your true feelings, or versus like not saying something in person when you should. I think there's definitely that balance that we have to kind of figure out within ourselves.
Yeah, it definitely felt, I'm trying to kind of stay a little bit more overarching with this idea, because I don't want to say it's just this one moment for me, because I think it really is a lot of these moments. I remember as I was sitting there, I was like, I needed this challenge. I needed to challenge myself, because I think I'm too comfortable in one of my spaces. I'm too comfortable online. I'm too comfortable because I'm starting all these connections. I'm starting all these like side passion projects, and like you got burnt out. But if you were doing all of those in real life, I feel like the limitations of what in real life would have done is it would have showed you earlier, and maybe it would have not let you burn out. So you need this, Ryan. Like sit here. Like you this is so you needed the moment. I was just right. I felt, again, it was like me being grateful, confused, and like so open to like seeing what I was gonna feel and think next. It was just it was a good feeling. I was happy to have done that.
I think it's needed. I think it's missing. I think what you're seeing, if I'm going to boil it into my opinion, is you're getting to see perspective. You're getting to see a bunch of different people. They're sitting around and they're all giving you just different versions of what their hamster wheel is like. And, you can choose, I've done this before. You can choose to look for all the differences and all the reasons why you hate being there and all of the things that, I'm not like these guys. What the fuck am I here for? Right. Or you could turn around and say, 85 or 90% of what we're all dealing with is all the same. Like there's a little bit of minutia that's different. There's a little bit of nuance that changes, but for the most part, let's hear their perspective. Let's sit and, we did it with my grandson and my kids when we were in North Carolina. At dinner time, we would sit down and it was called high low. So what's your high of the day? What was your low of the day? And it could be, hey, the high of the day was, getting out and getting to CrossFit on time and getting the kids to school. Like that could be the high, and the low could be the soup we're eating has got too much salt in it. Like, but it gave you a chance to just go around and talk. And I almost think, and I've started to name some of the things like Tuesdays, Tweak Spaces. I'm starting to name it group. Like, I think we as humans need group. Like we're missing group. We're missing the time for us all to be, sitting around and there's a teacher in the middle of the class and they're like, what'd you do this weekend? And how did you do this? And what's your whatever? And trying to come up with some sort of a perspective to know that that guy that just broke up with me online, that was the best fucking thing that could have happened to me, Brian. I don't know that because I don't get to spend time with anybody else to get their perspectives and to understand. And so I'm searching and seeking a way to, and I'm saying this to the ether right now and to you too, obviously. I'm being driven to this. Like, this is my freaking calling. Like, I want people to start to spend time with each other again, not online. Like, I don't care if you use the tool like AI. Hey, you can use the tool to get comfortable to find your peeps. This, you want to make sure that they like boogers or they're into VFriend cards or whatever the thing is that your niche is going to be. This is a good directory, but then spend time with people.
Boogers.
I don't know. It's sometimes it's this humorous guy that sits on the left shoulder. He is louder than anybody, and my wife is like, "You're not funny." And I think deep down she's like, you are so freaking funny that you don't even know how to control it. So that's just my
Oh, wait, hold on. I want to connect with that so much because I don't think that my wife is funny sometimes when she is funny. And there's something about me is like, I'm not going to laugh at that. And I've learned this. I've learned to say, what you just said is actually really funny. I'm just not showing it. And like, I'm not going to show, I don't know why. I don't know why I can't show you that it is funny, but I have to tell you, I think what you just said is really funny. You're just not going to see me.
no reaction.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
I don't know what that is. I think it's a pride
Long
thing.
relationship.
Yeah. Or a long relationship. Hey, so real quickly, we haven't talked about anything like we would talk about sort of like what we're doing. I tried IM8 as a replacement for Athletic Greens or AG1.
Okay.
It's David Beckham's part company, whatever. Comes in a red bottle instead of a green bottle. I tried that for a month. There's another one called Rewind Greens. They found me online, smaller company. They've sent me a package to try. It's really sweet and it's not ugly tasting. And yet I'm not sure. I'm kind of scared because it's a little sweet. But all being said, I'm also doing infrared sauna. I've done that a couple of times just as an attempt to try and get the benefits of what I've been told is similar to cold therapy, but without having to get cold. Like the older I get, the more I don't want to be cold. I don't know what that is.
I'm there with you. I hear you.
Yeah. Especially as I'm looking at my brethren in Chicago up in the left corner of my phone. I mean, I don't want to be cold anymore. I lived in Alaska from, what was it, 7 years old until I was 16 years old. And it was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I was in the Navy. I don't want to go on a cruise ship anymore. Like just certain things I'm saying out loud. I've digressed really far. Hey, in preparation for this, go ahead.
Can I just come back? I'm so curious about the AG1 switch, which is it's just interesting to me. And I was not familiar with the IM8. I'm just looking at it right now. And my first thought went to, well, what is the difference? And I don't know if there's a price difference or whatever. I know they both probably, well, I know AG1 can be expensive for some people here, but the IM8 looks, I don't know what the pricing is, I don't have that in front of me, but I do see a difference here. It's more. Okay,
it's more. Yep.
So what was the switch? Why did you change it up?
Well, it was the impetus of the whole switch was the Rewind Greens people reached out and said, hey, we've seen all of your content and all the videos I was doing, and then we would love for you to try it, because I think the biggest thing that people say, or at least the biggest complaint I've heard, is the taste, the chalkiness, kind of that side of it. And so they sent me something, and I put off like 3 days from trying it after it showed up, and I just kept like, hey, I don't want to try this. I don't want to, and it wasn't, hey, I don't want to go against my peeps. It was more, I have taken the products and probiotic, prebiotic, that sort of a supplement for long enough to know that if I start jacking with it, it messes with my digestive system. I'm an old guy. I'm not going to say anything, but it messes me up. So I held off, and then I tried it. And it was like, oh, this is good. And as soon as I tried it and it was good, I was like, why am I not trying the other one? David Beckham. I mean, I got sleeves from this damn guy. I mean, the guy's like the soccer star, and he's now promoting this other thing, and it's got 92 special whatever. And so I signed up, and it showed up, and I did it, and it doesn't require refrigeration, so there's a little difference there.
Yeah,
it's completely different. Like, it's a fruit punch instead of something that's got kind of an apple taste to it. And but I didn't notice any. I did it for 30 days. I didn't notice any differences in dietary, or it didn't mess me up, and it was pretty sweet. My bride is not a fruit punch person, so she wasn't a fan of it. But she did like the pineapple taste from the Rewind Green. So we got that. So she's doing one, and I'm doing another.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm seeing some differences here. I'm sure flavor and that kind of stuff too is going to be there here. It looks like the IM8 is going to be, it says that it has a more clinical dose of vitamin D. So I'm curious I don't know how much that is, just because I don't have it in front of me. I wasn't going to navigate all around. But I don't know if that's going to mean like a clinical dose to me. Like, I would just say a pedestrian dose of vitamin D that I would discuss with anybody would be at least 1,000 IU per day, up to like 5,000 IU per day. But then clinically, most of the time, if someone does have low vitamin D based on blood work, you might see a clinician give somebody a 10,000 IU vitamin D dose a couple times a week and prescribe that, and then they would come down to a lower dose there. So I don't know how much is in there, but it's also vitamin K. I see CoQ10 in there as well. So I don't know what they're leveraging.
Can you overdo vitamin D? Now that you've got me thinking this, can you overdo vitamin D, or your body doesn't just urinate out whatever is too much?
Well, vitamin D, so vitamin A, D, and E are going to be our fat soluble ones. So it can end up being it can end up being stored in the body. You don't really see, though, you tend not to see vitamin D toxicity. The only study that I've really come across was, I'm pretty sure it was a Canadian dude. I think he was taking 10,000 IU daily while also sunning himself intentionally for, I forget how many hours a day, but it was like, the whole like sunning his crotch kind of stuff too. So he ended up taking these like extremely high doses and he stayed on that 10,000 IU while also trying to absorb some from the sun. So, I'm not, this isn't medical advice, but I would say you're not going to find yourself with an issue most likely.
In a better, okay. All right. I was just trying to say, I've taken, I think I've supplemented in addition to whatever I get in this green stuff with a daily vitamin D, pill, just to make sure I was always getting enough.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if it's vitamin D in particular, you can always look at your blood work. And sometimes you have to actually ask your physician to order it, because some physicians, some doctors, some of your primary cares will just order it. But, I've always seen it as just another order that they have to like use their finger to push a button.
Right.
And it also costs money. So, they might not do it for a certain reason. So you can always ask, but just, definitely look at your blood work and then base it off of that. Also look at the time of the year. Robbie, you spend a lot of time walking outside. You probably are going to need less altogether because you're in, the southern part of the United States and you're outside often. But, if you are in the middle of the winter, I'm always going to tell someone, especially up here, like in New York City, if we're talking vitamin D, I'll be like, yeah, why don't we definitely bump this up to 5,000 IU? If it's the middle of the summer, I'm going to say we likely can just bump it down to 1,000 IU, but let's look at your blood work and see where you're at.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we've taken a whole bunch of your time. Anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't ask about?
No, I definitely came in pretty open. I was, I definitely don't have to rush off. So I'm definitely more than, available, but coming in, glad we talked about a few things there. And I think just coming to a general kind of thought is that my passion is just making sure that everyone feels some more confidence in their health and their mindset and their connection with themselves or their family or people around them. If you can feel any of those, just more confidence each day, you're doing something really good. And if you don't, that's just something that should drive you to understand, well, how can I find more confidence? What am I not confident in? Why can't I find this right now? And I know, when it comes to things like nutrition, I think it's made so much harder than it needs to be. And, I've always, wanted to try and boil things down to kind of like what the easiest thing is that we can understand. What's the quickest takeaway? I've developed programs that, do just that. And I've, really prided myself on being able to take something as even challenging as supplements and sports nutrition. That's where I come in at. That's my specialty. I specialize in sports nutrition. But what are the thresholds that we have to cross to at least see the benefits that we want to? I think that everyone is talking about optimization, which is just, I think it's an overused term. I think that, you know, what's going to optimize you, whatever that means, is not going to optimize somebody else, and vice versa, right? So we have to be able to figure out, like, when we, you know, over the more than a decade that I've been doing this, there are a few things that I've seen that overlap that people have needed to do to close the gap on their health or their goals or whatever. And I think that when we can take some of those thoughts and those ideas, we can really find an easier way to discuss nutrition. And so, yeah, think about your confidence. What is it you're not confident in? Where in your health, your mindset, right? Mental health and connection with people around you. Where are you least confident? That's where you can start. So it's always my thought.
I like that. I guess I would challenge the statement with, I think sometimes we try to make things super simple. Like, I'm pausing here on purpose. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. We try to make things really easy and simple. And, you know, the guys that made the microwave chicken pot pie didn't think they were giving us too much, you know, salt and MSGs and whatever. They were just trying to make it so you could eat something that wasn't, you know, fast food or fried some other way. But I guess this is my long way around to the tree of saying I get the most from taking my time, like cutting. I did this to make sure, because I knew I was going to be on with you. You know,
Oh, nice. Love it.
yeah. I mean, I was late leaving the house because I was getting those cut up so I could have those, you know, to eat with me. So back to, you know, anything and everything for me that really, it seems we try to make it quick, and it's like, man, but it would be just so much better if we could just slow down a little bit and enjoy it. Like sauteing onions and taking time to make, you know, your dinner slowly, and that was the cathartic. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's just, it for me, it seems like if I can pause and slow down, other than all the people around me that obviously are not very happy that I'm slowing down, it just feels better, and like it's better for digestion. It's better for all the things that, you know, go along with it. But
Yeah. I'm so curious right now.
yeah.
In terms of simplifying things, it sounds as if you might be connecting that with, you know, speeding things up, or, you know.
Yeah, I'm making is that
Okay.
my own definition. Maybe yours is a different definition for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But that's also, you know, I think that's how we communicate things too. Like, in my mind, I think that when we can simplify things, it gives us more time. It gives us more time back to slow down. That's my thought, right? And so it even lets me know, oh, that's so interesting that was your first thought on it, because, you know, I think that's part of it. I think, you know, even when you get down to the ideas of someone who does eat really fast, right? We tend to eat an extra 300 to 500 calories the faster that we end up eating. And there's actual times on that. Like, if it takes you this long to eat a meal, like, you will end up eating more, you know, X amount of calories. But, you know, in my mind, if someone knows, like, what are just the basics? What do we have to do? I think that it can definitely help give you more time to focus on more things. It's like, if you didn't think that you had to meal prep all day long, and that you needed to have, you know, only this one specific amount of calories and this one amount of fiber or protein, or these, like these 10 foods, or you have to watch out for these 10 things because they're going to kill you. I think when we can simplify it, I think it gives you back a lot of your, it takes off mental load, and it allows you to put it in different places where then you can slow things down. So, so interesting that you kind of brought that up. I think that it challenges me now to think about how can I change the language about, you know, simplifying things, but you're simplifying things to slow down. Simple and slow. I'm trying to think now. Simple, slow, stupid. How do we do all those things together?
My word of the month has been effort. And I think you guys both kind of touched on it. It's whatever we're willing to put the effort into. Like you said, you put the effort and we're prepared to cut up the carrots, and kind of, I think everything for me, it's, do I have the effort when I'm tired to go and do the things that are going to help me? And I think that's always kind of the key is, can I get over that hump of wanting to just go sit on the couch? Am I going to put the effort in to do the research, to do more on AG1 or IM8 and the things that I don't know about? I think those are all the things that we can challenge ourselves. It's like, I'm going to make sure I try to put in a little bit more effort, whether it's making sure my wife, I'm taking care of the dishes, because like I'm going to try to make sure to do something that's going to make her happy. And it's, I think a lot of times for many people, it's like, I'm just too tired. And it's when you have that mindset, but it's also eating the right things so that you have the energy to do those things, and understanding the research to know what can I do better for myself to have that extra effort and energy to do those things. And so that, to me, it's kind of spirals all of those things together.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, you know, just to, I don't want to stay on the topic too long, but, you know, when I hear you say those things, in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I wish he just knew, like, cross off the list of like, what are those things that you're supposed to do? Well,
Yeah.
it's not as many as we think, as that we're made to believe, because we are constantly being sold these things, whether it's an idea or a product or something else. Well, this is the new thing. And I think a lot of the times it's like, but it doesn't, like, you can, like, go ahead and bring that in if you feel like complicating it more. Like, it, as long as it's safe, I wouldn't care. But like, but your eyes are looking at the wrong thing. Like, all you really had to do today was, like, you know, A and B, but you thinking that you had to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of those, that's what's making you so tired and stay on the couch, because now you're having a hard time motivating yourself because it is overwhelming. And when we're overwhelmed, and especially a lot of us, like, we are, once that dopamine drops because we're not finding enjoyment in it anymore, or just feels so complicated, we're going to stop trying. And so I know from my perspective, and knowing what I know, there's only so many things that really do work. And it's just all about taking those things and making them consistent in your life. And the more we overcomplicate it, the less consistent that you're really going to be. And so I wish that on people. If I could wish anything, it would be the clarity of the simple, right? The clarity of the threshold that tends to be lower in a lot of cases than people think. We just have to stay consistent and accountable to that lower threshold, which is just where we got to be. So it's good. And that's not me saying you don't have to do anything and you have to make life easy. It's just me saying, like, don't overcomplicate it. That's all. So
as a recovering overthinker, I completely get it. I completely appreciate your statement.
oh,
I
thanks,
am sitting here on a bridge. Just up there is a fire station, and I think that interferes with my microphone. So I've been staying below. I don't know. Have I sounded okay today, Ronnie?
Yeah, you've been good. Couple glitches, but nothing like we've dealt with before. So all good.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm appreciating the leaves behind you. That's all I wanted to say, because I'm like, you mentioned the cold. I'm like, this every year now, I'm getting affected. I'm like, now I know everyone says, like, we got to move south. Like, a little of me is like, this cold is killing me right now. So I'm appreciating the warm.
Our snow in Chicago just went away. So I feel as soon as it hit, I was like, I'm a Minnesota kid, but I'm done with dealing with the cold weather. Send me to Tennessee or Georgia, somewhere south.
I'm not a fan. Like, as I said, you can turn the air conditioner down, but I can't get the heater hot enough in the house. You know, it's for me, I've just kind of gone that direction. We are 12 days away from vacation, and we're going to the beach, and it's going to be 86 degrees every day I'm there, which is fantastic. And I think we all need to get away. That was the infrared sauna and vacation were the two topics I had sent to you. I saw a buddy of mine that he and his wife just went on their 20th anniversary, and they went down to the Caribbean and they did all this stuff. And I'm like, do that every year. Like, literally, you don't have to wait till 20 years. Like, just, we aren't built to work. We weren't meant to be in a factory. I mean, we need to get outside. We need to hike. We need to be with nature. And that's my soapbox. Get out and go on vacation when you can.
I need that advice. Thank you for that. Good reminder.
You're welcome. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Happy Friday. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Let me know.
All right. Be safe. Take care.
See you guys. Bye.